Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Knitting Like a Cave Woman. My name is Miriam and I'm coming to you from Southern Illinois in the United States. Welcome everyone. Okay, this episode is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be a vlog about my travels through Scotland that I took just a couple months back in September. So there's going to be no talk here about knitting. So if you're not interested, then feel free to just, wait until I do another posting of a knitting episode. But anyways, I wanted to just start a little introduction of like how I ended up taking this trip to Scotland, because Scotland was not on my list at all for travel. In fact, there's just a lot of things that you guys don't know about me because I only have just a few episodes up. So anyways, I just thought I would share a little bit more of my personality. So anyways, I kind of have a little bit of a fear of flying. I'm not sure if it's really like a fear of flying or it's just like anxiety, just really bad anxiety that I get. Just for some reason, I get on a plane, or even just the thought of like thinking about, getting on a plane, I just start to get like really worked up about just the weight of the plane, like flying in the sky, and the weight of all of the luggage that's like in the plane. I don't know what it is, but the whole thought just like terrifies me. So I have not even been on a plane since the early 80s. And it's not that I don't want to travel anywhere. Trust me, I have traveled like throughout the entire United States. I'm really big on travel, but there's just something about the plane. Like I would rather like get in my car and like, drive for 3 weeks if I had to like get somewhere than to hop on a plane. The plane just stresses me out. So another thing is I've been married to my husband for over 30 years, and my husband he's like the travel person, between him and I. And I am really a homebody, and I like to just, be at home, knitting, taking care of the property, running the house here. And I'm very happy with my husband going off on his travels. He's one of these people that he loves to like hardcore walking. He does like a lot of walks. He walked from Spain or France to Spain. He's walked all over India. I mean, he's like walks around with a backpack. He's like hardcore backpacker. Does a lot of camping, and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, and went just hiked through the Himalayas. I mean, he's just that kind of a guy. And honestly, I kind of feel like I kind of live vicariously through him. Like I just really enjoy listening to his travels, where on it, like the kind of stuff that he likes to do is not the kind of stuff that I would like to do. Like I like to be in a hotel where there's like air conditioning and heat. I like to have like a nice bed to sleep in, and he likes to just like really rough it. So we are complete opposites, but yet somehow we kind of go together. So getting back to my trip to Scotland. So how did I end up even like going to Scotland? Okay, so what happened was, you know how it is when you're on the internet, like let's just say Instagram, and you just follow all kinds of people on Instagram. Well, I happen to be following a woman from Knit in the Mitt. Her name is Kathy Newman. And I just, followed her because she's like a hardcore knitter. She hangs out with a bunch of other like knitting friends, and she's just always posting all kinds of just beautiful knits. And like I like to see people knitting stuff, and I like to see what's out there and like what's fresh and hot. And so she's just always like got fresh knits on her needles. So she also is involved in travel, and she works with a travel company, and she does a lot of like travel tours. And a lot of the people that she ends up on her trips with are knitters, because she's a knitter, and like she hangs out with a bunch of other knitters also. So anyways, she ends up messaging me one day and saying, Miriam, there's a whole bunch of us going to Scotland. I have a cancellation on my trip. There's a spot open. I think you should go. You should come with us. And I'll be honest with you, my heart like stopped. Like when I read this message, I was like, oh no, like, I mean, it sounded good on paper, but I was like, well, so many things ran through my head. I was thinking, oh my God, well, I never really met her before. I mean, I follow her, but she seems like a really great person. But then, oh, I would be taking this trip like by myself without my husband. I haven't even taken a trip since the 80s. And then there's just the plane. There's like the whole plane thing. So I had mentioned it to my husband, just mentioned it to him. And he was like, oh my God, you should do it. You need to just like get over that hump, and you need to like go somewhere. He's like, I don't want you to like be old and look back on a whole bunch of things that you wish you could have done. So I was like, well, yeah, he does have a point there. And he was like, and you know what? You're going to be with a bunch of knitters, and they're all going to be like, you have the same interests that you have. And I was just like, oh, I don't know. Like, So anyways, Kathy ends up calling me, and she goes over like all the itinerary, like what's going to happen and, everything. And she's like, well, if you're going to think about it, you have like, I can't remember if it was like 24 hours or 48 hours to like think about it, because like I got to fill the spot. Well, so anyways, I ended up talking it over with my husband that night, and my husband was like, yeah, this is meant to be. You should do this. So I called Kathy back up, and I said, yep, I'm going to do it. And that is how I ended up on this trip. And I will tell you what, was I stressed out on the plane? Yes, I was stressed out on the plane. But I was so proud of myself that I got over this hump. And not only did I get over this hump, but I had the time of my life. This like really changed me. And I feel like, you know what? I feel like this is something that I could do. I feel like I might actually start traveling, like maybe every year, maybe every other year. I'm not sure, but this has lit the flame underneath me, and I'm gonna start doing some traveling. So anyways, I'm gonna leave it at there, and here is my trip to Scotland. So I'm in a different location today. I'm at my niece's condo, so I'm just doing a little filming here because she's gonna help me put together this little travel vlog. So anyways, I end up going on this trip. I did not even have luggage. Like, I didn't even have rolling luggage. I was like, well, I just packed this little duffel bag literally, and just somehow like managed to go to the airport and get on the plane. So I got on the plane. I made it through the plane. Was it stressful? Yes, it was. But I made it there. I had a couple of, transfers that I had to do on different planes and stuff. And I just went into this like meditative state when I was like on the plane. And I thought all I have to do is like, I got to just make it there. I got to make it there, and then I'll be with people and everything's going to be fine. Well, so I land, and sure enough, it was just like what she said. There was somebody there holding a sign, with my name, and I like found that person, and then that was it. I was good to go. I arrived in Scotland, and when I got in Scotland, it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and so I could not even check into my hotel because you don't check in until like 3 in the afternoon. So, but the hotel did hold my luggage, and I ended up running into some other people that was like a part of my group, that was going to be a part of my group on the trip. And I got really lucky because these younger people, they're like internet savvy and they know how to use their phones and stuff. And so they know how to call an Uber and do all this. So I ended up hooking up with 2 younger people, and we ended up going to the Glasgow Museum. And we spent our day there at the museum. And that was like, it was the Glasgow Riverside Museum of Glasgow. It was a blast, and I saw a lot of like beautiful stuff in the museum. So that's like what I did for like that first day when I arrived. Then in the evening, I had a dinner that's like, I met up with my group and we all went out to dinner, and I had fish for dinner, which I found out that I don't think you could really go to Scotland and well, I shouldn't say this, but I was going to say, I think you should really be into fish if you're going to go to Scotland, because everywhere you go is fish, and you're going to eat a lot of fish. And thank goodness, I totally love fish. I eat any kind of fish. And I was looking forward to that, to like having my fair share of fish and like different kinds of fishes. And that's exactly what happened. Ooh, I had my fair share of fish. So the next day we got up and we went to the Glasgow Cathedral, and that was so spectacular, so amazing. I mean, you just don't really know how big these enormous these buildings are, and just the stone, and just how much stone there is, and how detailed the wood carvings are, and the stained glass, and just and how just everywhere you turn there's just like stairs either going down or stairs going up, and these buildings just go on and on and on. And it's very tiring, just like all day. It's overly stimulating, just seeing so much stuff that you've just never seen before. And honestly, you do get to a point where you're just like, oh my gosh, I cannot take any more pictures. But it is just a feast for the eyes. I mean, it is just amazing. Another thing that I was really surprised at is, and I really paid attention to this, I did not see one spider web, like not one little bug anywhere. I was like, oh my goodness, like somebody must meticulously be cleaning this cathedral. Like I couldn't find not one little cobweb. I was super amazed by that. Then from there, I went to the Glasgow Botanical Gardens and had sandwiches and tea, and that was really, really beautiful. And just to see all of like the moss and stuff that's all over Scotland, it's just, I could not like get enough of the moss. I mean, I've never seen moss just growing everywhere, where in the United States it's like, we've got grass and huge weeds, and the moss is just so spongy and it's just so different. I was just so taken by it. I just could not stop staring at the moss. Then I went to a Scottish tasting where I had haggis, neeps, and tatties, which is the Scottish delicacy. And no, I did not like the haggis whatsoever. But I would have a conversation with just random people that I met, like from Scotland, and I could never find anybody that said they disliked haggis. Like if they were from Scotland, they talked very highly of haggis. They loved haggis, which I think was like the intestines of sheep. I think it was some sort of intestines No, I think it's an acquired taste. No, it was not my taste, but I did try it. Then I went to my first castle, which was the Inverie Castle, that was built in the Gothic Revival style, and that was my first castle. Oh my goodness! To see a castle when you've never seen a castle before, I mean, yeah, it just leaves you breathless, just how enormous these castles are, and just all the stuff in the castle, and just all the details, and yeah, it's quite amazing. All right, I don't know what's going on there. Sorry, I don't know what that was, but somebody's car alarm started going off. All right, so there was like an armory room that had just the amazing collection of rifles and guns, and how they were displayed was just amazing. And yeah, and just the views around the castles, and the landscaping and the gardens was, it just was such a spectacular thing to see. From there, we left the castle. We went back to our hotel, and that night I went back into town and actually went to a bar, like a little small local pub, and it was called the Clary, and I hung out with some of the locals and had some cocktails, and just that was just like a really great like experience, which is like something I really wanted to do when I was in Scotland. Then the next day we woke up and we took a ferry to the Tobermory single malt Scotch whiskey tasting place for whiskey, and I had whiskey tasting, and that was fun. Then we drove through the countryside to Duart Castle, and I saw another castle. I just could not get enough of these castles. Then we left from there and we traveled through more countryside to the Western Highlands, which is part of the National Trust of Scotland. And this is just amazingly beautiful. It just, as far as the eye can see, just miles and miles and miles of just mountainside, and just covered with moss. And I mean, it is just breathtakingly beautiful. And we got really lucky when we were there. It was not raining, which there's a lot of rain going on in Scotland, but it doesn't rain like all day. It seems like it rains for like 25 minutes to a half hour, and then it won't rain for like a couple of hours, and then somehow like another rain comes by, like for another 25 minutes for a half hour, and then it just stops raining for a few hours. And like, this is just every day, like how it happens every day. So you're always carrying around your rain jacket. But when we were there at the Western Highlands, we got really lucky. It was because your bus can only park for so long, and so we were able to get out of the bus, and like the sky was just gorgeous, and the clouds are just beautiful, and so we got some really good pictures there, and I was really excited about that. Then from there we left there, and I had a wonderful dinner experience at a fine dining restaurant, and of course, what did I have? I had more fish, which was just delicious. Then we left and we went to a smaller town, and I went to an Italian restaurant because by this time I was kind of getting a little like fished out from like eating so much fish, and I was just like, oh, I need chicken, I need something else. So I went to an Italian restaurant just by myself. I kind of snuck out and just had some chicken at a really nice Italian restaurant. Then I found my first yarn shop, which was the Caledonia Wool Company, and if I remember right, I don't think I bought any wool there, but just beautiful little town, and I was just having a blast. And um, I met so many knitters, like on the bus. We'd be traveling a lot through on the bus, and just in the evening we would do a lot of sitting in our hotel, like in the lobby, and all of us that knit, we would like sit around in a circle and just knit and socialize, and just wind down with, like, you know, a little evening drink, and it was just so much fun. I just met so many wonderful people. Then the last thing for the week was I took a train, which was the Jacobite steam train, or it's known as the Hogwarts Express. And so we took a train ride, and that was so interesting. There was so many people, like, on when the train was going over this bridge, there was just like thousands of people, like, waiting for this train to go by to, you know, wave at the train. And that was just so much fun. And then that week ended with fish and chips at a local little fish stand outside. And so that was my first week of Scotland, and I was having the time of my life, just meeting a lot of new people. And I was starting to feel like, you know, I think maybe my husband was right. Maybe I did need to get out there a little bit more and start doing some traveling. So I'm going to wrap this up. This was week 1 of my trip to Scotland, and I was getting over the fear of doing some traveling. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.